And that's it. Just I always, it's funny, like when we do these Facebook lives, there's this little blue kind of bar that kind of goes across, and as soon as it says we're going live, it always kind of makes me really excited. um, and we are live at the What's on the Elephant and Castle Facebook page. I'm Nick from Retribe, and we've got a packed house with three beautiful people who like each other so much they're going to share one camera. Paula, Ross, and Mickey from Crisis UK are here to speak about the good work that they're doing, not just in London, but in the Elephant and Castle community. And I'm really, really grateful that you guys could join us today. So thank you all.
Yeah, thank you.
So who would like to introduce himself first? And we can, just introduce yourself, kind of maybe a little bit about your background and, your involvement with Crisis and anything that kind of like comes through your heart as you describe the work that you could do. We can go through individually. So who wants to go first?
Go on, we're gonna make Mickey.
Okay, well,
Okay, Mickey.
I guess I've been chosen.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Mickey. I work in Elephant and Castle Crisis Shop. I'm also a volunteer manager. I have previously volunteered for Crisis, actually in the warehouse where we are now. And I liked it so much, I ended up working for Crisis. As I believe in their mission and just supporting people who find themselves in a situation and just offering them tools to better their life, to get out of the situation they are, and also being able to help other people as well. So it's just a kind of knock-on effect, and just also would love to raise awareness of Crisis, as it's a fairly new charity in terms of charity years, but very fast growing. We are expanding rapidly, and we would really like to kind of spread our mission and the word around. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Mickey. Who wants to go? Ross, you're up.
I was about to say we should have gone first and then let her carry on.
Now you've said everything I was going to say. So I'm Ross. I work here in the ecom studio as a support manager. We've just launched a new site, gone live today, so that's been the work that's been going on over the last 8 weeks to get that up and running and ready. It replaces the previous site that we had. For me personally, coming to work for Crisis was a little bit by default. I sort of partially retired, but then they needed some support in the new shop that had opened up in Islington, and I went and did a 3-month contract, which is extended obviously because that was in 2020, just before the first lockdown. And I think the thing about in our everyday lives, we all walk around, and homelessness is very prevalent. On street corners, even around the corner here, outside the local Tesco, there's a guy sleeping rough, and doing something proactive and being part of Crisis goes some way to sort of we all want to help. We have the same aim, the same goal to try and eradicate that, and hopefully that's the mission, and that will work. And over the next few years with the expansion plans, we can add more to that, and with any luck see an end to homelessness, because it's one of those things that you see it, but it could also happen to any one of us at any given time, because you never know how your circumstances change in life and what happens. So it plays a part for all of us.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thanks, Ross. Paula?
And now I can hardly hear you because the rain is
very heavy rain.
I actually spoke quite quietly there. I'm just because I'm very touched by what you guys are sharing so far. So Paula, you're last but not least.
No, I'm Paula. I work as operations assistant manager for ecom. I've been here for a year and a little bit now.
Yes.
I came into the project when we just launched our e-commerce site, and again now we've stepped it up and relaunched it this September. It's even bigger and better than before. But yeah, the whole thing is, it isn't just what we always say, especially working for Crisis. It's not necessarily, we talk about homelessness, it's never just about giving someone a home, and I think that's what Crisis hones in on. It's not just giving someone a home and hoping your situation gets better. It's supporting every other part of life to make that, like, just get back into a community, what we call society, as people are excluded. So it's all the tools
Yeah.
that you can pass on to someone. And
Yeah, no, I love what you guys are saying about giving people tools, because, you know, for me in my personal journey, it would have been a little over 6 years ago, and I was in Toronto, and I was dying of alcoholism. I was held up in a squat where, you know, I should have been kicked out of. It was a place that I was renting, and it was only for a kindly man who owned the place who let me stay in it for a few months without paying rent. I mean, always thinking, you know, that I didn't have any tools. I just felt very sorry for myself. You know, I was not only, like, you know, unemployable, but I was dying of, you know, acute pancreatitis and liver failure and dehydration and malnutrition. And it was like this inability in me to ask for help, to know where help was. And knowing, you know, that some people had said that there is help out there. There was nothing inside of me that could ask for help. And I think this is a very interesting thing when I speak with people, you know, either the guys who I speak to in Soho Square, or people like yourselves, is that, you know, there are things available out there, but when people don't have the ability to say help me because of trauma, because of outdated masculine ideas, there's just no ability to say help. And a lot of people are saying, you know, a lot of people come into either come into volunteer, or they see people sleeping rough, or without houses, and there's a lot of judgment, and there's a lot of this thing of like, pull yourself up from your bootstraps, and there's so much help available. But when someone doesn't have the ability to say help me because, like I said, of trauma, or it just doesn't come out of you, you just think you've got this kind of insane thinking that you can sort out your own problems. I'm just, like I say, I'm just very grateful that you guys are there to be able to give tools too. And I think that this has got to be a symbiotic relationship with the people on the street who desperately want help, but don't know how to ask for it, but also be able to have the tools available for them when they do. So that's kind of just my opening thing, just to say how grateful I am that you guys are around. So thank you. And I'd like to kind of maybe get into how you guys work, because Paula, you mentioned, it's not just about giving people a shelter or somewhere to stay. It's got about being able to kind of retrain people in getting back into what, like, rehabilitation means, to become rehabilitated into life. So it's a bit of a process. So how do you guys how do you work at it? How does Crisis work?
so, yeah, there's almost two kind of distinct parts of Crisis. You have Crisis where we call them skylight centers. So we have 11 of them across the UK. And they are the centers that are there to help support people out of homelessness. So that is, you would be assigned a coach, and then you'd have a program where it helps with every aspect. So it isn't just like, say, like we said before, it's not just not having a home. Sometimes there's different types of homelessness as well. So supporting even down to the basic things of just getting your CV up to scratch, and having that encouragement to go and apply for jobs and keep going for it. Or there's so much more. There's like training involved,
supporting the process.
Yes, just supporting it. And so we have coaches that support people through that. And then people within Crisis that are being supported can volunteer. So we create structure as well. Structure is kind of another thing that's important. I think we learned that over lockdown, when everyone lost all structure. I think it makes people understand a little bit more what it's like to not have structure. And then we have what else? I'm trying to think of the courses that we do. Yeah, the workshop.
It's a kind of workshops where they learn the skills, so real life skills that might help them in future employment.
And even creative skills.
Yes,
we do a lot
this
of
was going to be, of course, because this is something that is just so nurturing. And it's really important after being, going through periods where just day to day is just trying to survive.
Yeah.
So it's not about just surviving, it's about living the life. Yeah. And this is something, you just tend to, I guess, lose that human inside you. And it's just slowly helping them recover and getting themselves and feeling human again.
And rebuild.
Yes.
And like you said, having that bit where you then turn around and say whether you want help from someone, or you then get the strength to do it yourself. It's kind of that thing of building that and being there as a support when someone can't. can't do it. Yeah.
You as you guys have just both shared here, it just really reminds me of, we're all humans, we're all people. We've got a soul, a spirit, something in us and I love the fact that you talk about creativity, because I heard a story of some new people, some people who had immigrated from war-torn countries, and at the time of them having to leave, it was a choice of taking a violin that they'd had since they were a child, or their own child's toy. And they took their own child's toy. I'm going to cry. Sorry.
That's
No,
okay.
it's okay.
It's okay.
They took their own child's toy, and then they just lost their creativity. It just became survival. And I think this is the thing, is we just can forget that a lot of people coming to shores, who are here, or their stories, their backgrounds, they've all had these stories, and we tend to just look at the dirty fingernails and a smelly sleeping bag and, a little coffee pot just with some pennies in it, and the judgment that goes with it. So I'm wondering, like, if in your stories, like, do you guys have personal stories that have made you want to kind of to be involved in this? Because from what I've known along the way, a lot of people have brought their own experiences to these places because there's something inside of them that they really want to help. And as Mika, you mentioned, you just want to be of service, you want to help. And I'm just wondering how that came from you as a person on your journey. What was it that was like you like felt the need to want to help at Crisis?
Well, yeah, I mean, I will just
Yeah.
a little bit, because I was a little bit similar situation, like you said. I have squatted for many years, as I did found myself in a situation. So for a while, it was borderline, am I going to be homeless? Aren't I going to be homeless? And it was very hard. It was just, as I said, surviving from day to day. It was all about survival. So everything else was pushed to the sides, which just creates a huge internal trauma. So yeah, you eventually do get a place to live in. You find your way around, and the only way you find your way around is through help of others. As you said, we're all human. And once you start on that path, what is essential, I think, is also repairing or bringing back that human, because this is what ends up being scarred within. And in these times, it's human contact, compassion. This is what helps us kind of just come back slowly and repair and heal, basically.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take a lot, does it?
No,
it's just sometimes you can even just say hi to someone.
Yeah.
And you don't know what's going on with them. And that can be like a massive spark. Even that can be a spark in someone. And when you're just stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it was a realization. I used to travel to India twice a year. I worked with textiles, and we would go to Delhi. So we'd go in March, and then we would go back sort of September, October time. And it was such a shocking eye-opener to see how people don't live, really. I mean, couple of poles with a piece of plastic over it, and bodies lying around on the streets on the way from the airport to whatever. So it's so shocking, and it had such an impact on that first trip. And I came home, and I had young kids at home at that point, so I would buy them little books and take photos, and sort of wanted to expose them to what goes on out in the real world, because we're a little bit sort of sheltered from it in their everyday comfort of going to their little primary school and all the rest of it. And yes, seeing certain things, but I wanted to bring that into their lives so they could play a part in all of that. And then we also lived in Asia for a couple of years. My wife got offered a job, and we went to live there, and we'd go traveling around in Asia, and riding around and seeing people, elderly people, anyone sitting on their front doorsteps with a couple of husks of corn to try and sell, so they could buy some rice for the day.
And that's that thing of like, when you see people, it's not just based in the UK, but again, if you immigrated and then you've come into a different culture as well, and how another culture views somewhere else and what that standard of living is. It's just one that it's an educational piece.
Yeah.
And I think crisis is another part of crisis is the campaigning. It's a huge part of what we do. Like most recently it was the Vagrancy Act, and that was to stop being homeless being classed as a criminal.
Yeah.
So stop it being,
Yeah.
It's like a 200-year-old.
Yeah.
It's crazy that it would be illegal to be homeless. You'd be classed as a criminal.
Because I
and
think no one chooses to
No,
be
you don't.
homeless.
And
it's
if
not
you
a situation
choose- yeah,
anyone
that's
wants to
it.
be in. It's
No.
just
Yeah. And if you get to that point where that is your choice, that's when you have no other alternative, and
Yes.
it's a real no other alternative.
Yeah.
So it's not you're not a criminal for that, and it's crazy that and you can see how that has changed people's views. And then now we're in a world where that view just it shouldn't exist, and that's where this education
no
comes in.
place.
Yeah, there's no place.
No place for that any longer.
I honestly, I think like a few months ago, I was talking to somebody, you know, and they work for a charity that helps to get food to children who are malnourished. And we're sitting here right now, and we are live, but I think Liz Truss is doing her first Parliament talk, you know, about the cost of living crisis and capping our energy bills to £2,500 per year. And you know that this woman came on and she told me that children are going to school today in London, you know, with food poisoning because the night before the parents are turning their fridges off to try to save electricity. And you guys exist. And we're living in this world where, you know, there's like all of these companies making billions and billions of pounds, and this huge disparity in wealth around people. And I just, you know, until the systems are changed where, like you say, homelessness, people, unless you want to, you know, people, there should be a house for everybody. You know, we live in a world of abundance. And I just don't know when and how and when it's going to shift. And I know you guys probably are not very political. You just want to help people. But I suppose in our own personal lives, we find it really hard to kind of go through this world and not be really angry at the systems that have been created, you know, by extremely privileged rich folk that kind of keep us suppressed into the point where people are actually going to be relieved to know that the energy bills are not going to go over 2,500, which is a ridiculous amount of money. And something that is unaffordable for, you know, 6 million plus homes. And I imagine you guys are going to get a lot, like very, very busy over the next year. Are you ready for it? Have you anticipated this? Are there ways that you support people, you know, who have houses, but might not be able to get food on the table? Is there some cross pattern there where you can help people too, or?
I think there's things in place that we have, because obviously you're going to have the people that are already struggling and how much worse that's going to get, and then you get people that haven't previously had that kind of struggle are now going to see themselves in that situation. So the work that we do is going to be even more important.
It's sort of evolving, because of course this is a very new situation that has cropped up.
I mean, you know, it's about being proactive and reactive in the same time, because, you know, as the situation is happening, we cannot, you know, it's difficult to be proactive because it's just changing all the time. We don't know what to expect. So it's just, you know, we are trying to kind of follow it stage by stage as, you know, it's been talked about for quite a few months what might be happening this winter, but I think we are yet to see the depth of it. Yes, I mean, hopefully the government should be able to help in any way, shape or form. It's yet to be seen, but the way it's looking now, yes, it's.
So I
And
think
also-
already, in place.
And also we've no idea how long it will go on for. I mean,
Yes.
you know, I mean, what's in place for after, you know, in January when the next cap goes up and beyond that. I mean, it's sort of so. I haven't really listened to the news over the last 24 hours. I know that Liz Truss is now our Prime Minister, but I don't know what their plan is to help.
Yeah.
Like I think at the moment in place we have Skylight teams have upped the amount of support they can offer to people. So I think they're doing their best to make sure people can get affordable housing, help them to find a place that is classed as affordable housing for them. So that's where you are stuck, and what can you, and I think there's another bit of it where we are increasing the training of our welfare advisors within the Skylight centres, and they're helping people that are already in a situation, guide them and support them on how they can access local council and what funding is available there. Like I know there's like the Housing Access Fund and parts of that of how to get people, how to show people that these things exist and how they can get a bit more support. But like we said, until we know fully what's going on, it's so hard to be able to plan for this many people that are going to be in this situation, because that is the truth. There is going to be a lot. There is, you can't say there isn't. It's
by the looks of it, it's
happening.
inevitable that this is happening. It will happen and is happening.
And we don't receive, like, as an independent charity, we don't actually receive
no
government funding really. So it is our supporters that support Crisis through these things, like the retail stores, fundraising events that we put throughout the year. And like we know the big Crisis at Christmas event, we want that to be like a year-long continuous support, especially now even more so. And our corporate partners as well, people do support, like any supporters of Crisis, it's them that are really making a huge difference to the people that are being directly impacted. And that's all we can do, try and support and raise awareness, things like this.
And we're also very lucky that the 10 shops that we have at the moment in London are not only
amazing,
incredible, they look great, there's really talented staff that work in them, and also they also act as community hubs in wherever they are. So people do know that they can talk to the staff if they go in, and if they need any advice, and
the volunteering opportunities. It's and like we said, that
what would an experience be like if you came into one of the Crisis shops? Like what like when you walk in the door, what happens?
You'd be greeted with lovely mittens.
I mean, we can offer plenty of advice. Anything from where they could give them emergency numbers. I mean, anything from really emergency, where I can stay tonight. I need some clothing. I need sleeping bags. We get the sleeping bags. And then also any kind of bit more longer term, our Skylight centers. So help for the benefits, for the housing, advice, mental health. So as I said, whatever they might need, we are there to help and advise.
I don't know if you guys are knowledgeable about it, but I'm interested to know what the housing situation is like for kind of low income families. Like what, do you know what, are people building houses? Like I've seen some things on the news about like containers, like ship containers.
That's not a direct thing, but what we have an innovation and enterprise department. And
there's another part of Crisis.
They are looking at this moment in time of working with construction companies that they can collaborate with, that will build affordable housing.
But housing with a community as well. I think that's the biggest bit that we've hit that's different, right? We're not just building affordable housing, we're building it where there's going to be a community where you can rebuild that life. So it's that thing of like, is there a school nearby, or is like what is nearby that is going to help you, like a community hub? Those type of things is what Crisis is doing different when it comes to building affordable housing. It's not just finding a good location, it's a location with that
all the support that they need from there on. Because as we mentioned before, finding a housing, it's a huge step, but it's just the whole follow-up process that's needed afterwards.
And I think it is, they want overall, it's when you get into temporary housing as well, it's a thing with Crisis, it's as minimal as possible. You don't want to be in temporary housing for a long period of time, and that's something they push for. It's not that it's not the solution. And I think
you need to have
so they work to make sure if it does happen that you're in that in the shortest amount of time.
It's a first step.
I'm wondering, do you guys have any affiliation with like I think it's something called Bridging the Gap. I know in our 12-step program that's what we call it, but for people who've just left prisons, and they are they're figuring out their way of getting back into the work world and life world, because there doesn't seem to be a lot of support for people like that, like people who've just left prison.
I think there must be, I think there is something there. We haven't worked directly with it, but we have done it in the past in previous charities that we've worked for, and it's something we're open to here as well. We just getting people. There's no reason why someone can't come and volunteer with us. And I'm trying to think of.
I mean, we have a training program. We have a crisis
Yeah.
members who
That
will
would
come.
be
Yes,
Yeah.
will come and do the training. So there's like a 6 months program that they come and learn retail skills. So there's a training, it's all official, and it's something that will help them hopefully get a job. I mean, it's not only the skills they learn on the job and the training they receive, it's just the whole interaction, feeling
Being
that
with
they
other
are
people.
part of it. Yes, it's just this whole being able to interact with the people from different backgrounds. I mean, in our shops, the volunteers are really varied. We have from 20-year-old to 70-year-olds, really different backgrounds, which is the beauty of it. And them being with this kind of environment, I think it's just nurturing, and it's just making them feel like a human again, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. I again, kind of just as we're talking, I kind of brought up the prison thing because I kind of go on the news stories that I see about, you know, some ex-offenders who have been giving temporary housing, and how this gentleman was just like, he's like, this is my safety. This is my space. I feel it's the greatest gift I've ever been given. And it was just, I think it was one of those container houses that had been converted, and it was nice and clean and warm. And then I think about other people who have maybe left the armed services, and I think about other people who have ended up being without a house, and it's just this huge spectrum of people. And I think that that's again, is we tend to try to throw this judgment on it's just particular people, like you know, criminals or addicts and alcoholics, and you know, they're there because they deserve it in some way. But what I've learned is that it's a lot of people who've maybe lost their purpose, you know, where they've lost a job, they've lost a family member, they've lost a child, and then inside of them there's been a loss and a trauma where their purpose has
Yes, and that's where the downward spiral begins.
Yes.
Yeah.
And any of those
and then if you come out
circumstances
and
can-
there's nothing there,
No support
Yeah.
system.
they
to
do
help
have
you.
they do have like a rent. They do have like it's not a solution to coming out of prison and not having anything there, but they do have a course that is offered to people in prison that is kind of it's a course to help with housing, how to budget and manage your rent, and then also how to maintain relationships with landlords as you've come out. And I think that works in a two-way process as well. It's understanding that they have landlords that it's just a relationship kind of course, I think.
Yeah.
And it's just to give that starting step of building that relationship and coming out of prison with,
Well,
you know, with nothing. There's something
it's
there
such an institutional way of
Yeah.
life, when you're told when you get up when to make your bed, how to make your bed, you know, going back into the society life. It's just must be a total shock to the system. So it's just, again, relearning skills.
Yeah. I did have a question right there. The warehouse. You mentioned the warehouse.
Yeah.
What happens in a warehouse? Like obviously store stuff, but
Yeah, so we're basically the online presence of Crisis in terms of retail. So we have our amazing 10 retail shops across London, and then we've just opened up. Well, we've been here for a year now, online, and we've relaunched it this morning.
Fresh.
Yeah, so the warehouse is where we process all our stock, we photograph it, we get it online, and we try to raise funds by selling those items. We have loads of volunteering opportunities, and as we're a new department, we're offering a lot of new skills, in-demand skills that people are interested in. So as an e-commerce team, we can put a lot of training and offer these skills to people that we've seen leave and then get jobs, because we've put skills that people are really after. If you don't want to be in a retail environment as well, as sometimes that is a bit overwhelming,
can be
here
daunting, yes.
it's relaxed. Here we're processing, photographing, like we said, and then through this now we've got that part established, and we've started working with like sustainable companies to create products that will just tick that other box of we're trying to just do a bit better and do a bit good. We don't need to throw more in the landfill when we know we don't need to. And that's the whole thing about this. It's making sure we're not putting things to waste. We're trying to use it
And plus, in these times, these testing times, economically testing times, we're offering great value in our shops, and people cannot or do not wish to buy new items. They can get really good quality items and much lower price, and directly help.
help
our
at the
mission.
same time. Yeah.
What kind of things do you sell in the shops then? Is it just everything? Like what?
Everything.
Everything.
Anything we're allowed to sell, we will
Well,
sell.
not everything.
Nearly.
But okay, so you've got these retail outlets where people can go to and grab, they can do a shop. And then you do a lot of fundraising and you try to help people. And one of the things that you guys do is Crisis at Christmas. And it's let's talk a little bit about Crisis at Christmas, because I've volunteered at it was the Bermondsey one in 2019. And I was there as a volunteer for my 12-step program. And I have some amazing stories that I'll tell you about. Well, one amazing story. But I got to see the volunteers there at work and the systems that people were using where people were actually guided to a shower, a new set of clothes, a computer terminal with an IT support to try to get them onto housing lists, universal credit. Everything was there, and it was so well organized. It was unreal. It was like, and there was this wonderful community feeling. So talk to me, guys, about your experience with Crisis at Christmas, and I know it's been suspended for the last couple of years, but is Crisis at Christmas happening this year? So just tell me everything.
Yes, I mean
It's been reduced a lot. I know, through the pandemic they tried to keep as much as they could going. I think we still had the hotels happening, very limited. Again, it was very limited on the stuff that we could do. But I think this year it's starting to get back to how it's been in the past, as we have less restrictions. As far as I'm aware, the full program of Christmas, I don't know how much of it is back to the full, what it used to be pre-pandemic.
For all falls into place around about the end of October, beginning of November, when they've got their plan organized.
Because again, they're going to have to prepare for what is coming this
Yes,
winter.
it's difficult to anticipate what might happen this winter regarding pandemic again. But we try to have processes, organization, it's all in place. It's just we might need to juggle it a little bit.
Because how many more people are going to be in that situation where they can't?
Yeah. Well, I'll just tell you my story at Crisis Christmas. And we were at a table where we were kind of like told to let people just come up and talk, and it was a 12-step program. And we were expecting people just to come up and get a pamphlet or a book or a pin or something like that. And obviously nobody was up there. It was a wet one, so people were allowed to bring in some beer and stuff. And I just kind of wandered out and sat by a table with a couple of guys who spent a lot of time at Victoria Station. And they were telling me about their experiences. And I mean, their experiences were harrowing and heartbreaking, but hopeful. A lot of the guys worked in construction and made a lot of money. One guy didn't have problems with substances, but was a gambler. And he just told me his story and how he would get a house and lose a house and get a house and lose a house. And it was because he would gamble away his weekly wages. But he did say some nice things about people, in London. He said that, being homeless in London is it is a good place to be homeless because people are extremely generous. And he said, I'm never hungry. He goes, I just sit outside of a Pret or a fast food place and someone will get them. And that gave me a lot of, people do have big hearts, and people are good. I think we just need to be guided in the right ways to be able to help people properly. But it was a really nice story that they talked about the generosity of people. And then at the end of the evening, he just said to me, Nick, thanks for listening. Because I didn't really have anything I just listened. And I thought that's something that I will always kind of carry with me, is that if we're talking to somebody who's had some trauma or experiencing some challenges in their lives, just to be a helpful ear is so valuable. And if you don't have the answers, they know where to go, they know who to call. if it gets that bad, they can get to the crisis and they can come in and get a sleeping bag. But it's really that I think it's just a level of compassion that I think people all have in them, just to be able to listen and say, hey, you know, I'm here for you, and I understand a little bit, and I thought that was it was an experience that I'll never forget, and I'm really grateful that Crisis put that on so that I could experience that and have those stories to be able to tell people.
But it's that thing, that word compassion.
Yeah.
That is it. It is
Yes.
compassion, and that's what you see through your I think that's probably the one thing that once you start working in charity, you can't really ever get out of it, because the volunteers and the people that you meet, the amount of compassion that they have, you're just like, you can't.
It's humbling.
It's amazing. And
Yeah.
people, and that's what you see. You do see that good in people, and that they are there to give that to someone else. And like you said, it's just listening,
Yeah.
just being there, or anything, just helping.
So they don't feel
compassion,
invincible.
right? There's no.
I think often there's people, you know, you'll hear in the stories that they feel invincible. So it's this whole thing, just being able to be heard, like, you know, like in the story you said, you know, I don't feel invincible. I'm being heard. Just having a voice.
Somebody there? They wanted to.
Yeah.
That is just... he got very wet in the rain.
Did you guys have a big downpour? Because I just had a bunch of rain down.
Yes, very.
He got caught in it.
So as we kind of are coming to our time, you know, I've shed some tears. I'm sorry about that, but we've spoken about what you guys are doing and your mission and how you're being able to help people. But I always love to hear success stories, or stories where you've met somebody and you've seen them go through a process of rehabilitation, and just in your experience of what you've been doing at Crisis, like, what are the things? I know compassion, and it becomes a purpose where you start to love the work that you do, but what are the other things that make you keep coming back and wake up in the morning and put your Crisis t-shirts on? Which are you all wearing Crisis t-shirts?
No, this is for your routine.
Oh, I thought it was. I thought you guys were wearing branded stuff. Come on.
We have to have a little bit of fashion in the that's our little buy-in for today.
Yeah.
I haven't witnessed that because my whole time was, I only worked 6 days when I first started, and then we went into the first lockdown, and then I worked from home doing things. So I haven't been part of seeing that process of someone starting and doing and working through. That happens more in the shops, because they often have member volunteers coming in and training to the because we have some cafes in a few of the shops, so they do barista training, and we had a cafe in Shoreditch that they used to go in and would work and do cook and all of that. So we're a little bit sort of removed from it, because
we're new. We're building up so we're in the process at the moment at the warehouse where we've got all our setup done now, and we've worked on our volunteering opportunities, and we've worked with volunteers throughout the year where we've seen people like grow already, and now we're looking for the future. So we are going to be moving site eventually to a much bigger warehouse that will be shared with the Crisis at Christmas team. So we'll be in one place and we'll be able to work together fully. And then for us, we want to bring in that member work where we can offer those training, as in full training courses, not just standard volunteering when you come in. We want to journey with people. So we're looking forward to that. But we're looking at everything that all the other shops are doing, Skylight Centres are doing, and we're
we
ready.
get the updates from the Skylight Centres, the success stories around.
There's so many.
What are the Skylight Centres?
So the Skylight Centres are the ones that are based all across the UK. So like I said, there's 11 of them. And they are the centres that directly work with people, which we say people
experiencing
homelessness or any issues.
Welfare officer, housing officer. So it's just,
so there are hubs for any wherever you're experiencing any form of homelessness. That's where people are rebuilt.
Help, advice, support, whatever they might know.
Because
whatever
on
they
the
might
retail side that we are affiliated with, we only have the 10 shops in London, but the Skylight Centres, there's in Edinburgh, Newcastle,
all across the UK,
Cardiff, Oxford, Croydon, they're all
Bristol,
over.
So we get to work directly with volunteers,
and they're the hubs where people can go, or they can approach when they're experiencing problems in their life and homelessness, and they've got coaches that can teach them art, and they do exhibitions, and there's lots of different things that they can do from the Skylight Centres. So they are the UK hubs.
And Mickey, you're taking care of the Elephant and Castle retail one, right? That's just opened up.
Yes. Well, the shop has been there for about 4.5 years. Yes. But obviously, Elephant and Castle has changed enormously. There's a huge regeneration process happening there. So also what's been happening,
with COVID, you've been closed for
yes,
that time.
yes. So obviously, it's developing. Elephant and Castle, it's changing hugely. So there's still kind of pockets of old Elephant and Castle, and there's new Elephant and Castle. Yes. So, and the shop has grown enormously. We find that our customer base is extremely eclectic, which is great. I love it like that. So, we love to be able to offer something for everyone, literally for everyone. And that is the beauty. So we don't ostracize this group or that group.
Sorry, interrupt.
Yes,
you did.
Yeah, we still have the exhibition on, so we support local artists. We are hoping to develop that much further.
Yeah.
We will also, I'm looking into develop more like a workshops, like art workshops with clothing to do with the volunteers, or maybe some customers who would like to do. So it's just about, again, raising awareness, being more creative, engaging community. And it's again, raising awareness.
I'd like to kind of end on this, on maybe your experiences with the word community, because I think that, Elephant and Castle is a community. And for me, life really changed for me when I found a community of like-minded people, and people who might be watching this alone in Elephant and Castle might be kind of fearful, anxiety. I want to go down to the crisis shop, but I'm a little bit scared to go in because of my personal skills are not what they used to be, or they're going to judge me, or they're going to. So I suppose it's just really kind of alleviating those fears in people, and just kind of not stressing, but just emphasizing the point that community is connection. Community helps build purpose. Community helps with isolation. And I imagine, Mickey, you've what's your experience with seeing that, and with seeing people who've become isolated and all of a sudden start finding these little pockets of community?
Like I said, I have witnessed volunteers coming, there are various backgrounds, like I said, but, we have volunteers that have faced various issues in life. And for me, it's super rewarding when you come and see volunteer who in the beginning is just hiding in the corners. No eye contact, they don't say anything, hide in the corners, and a few months later they're smiling, serving
and they're
customer.
coming back telling you that I've got this job, or I paid this bill, and you're like,
it's
oh
just the chattiness, the smile, and it's so rewarding. It's not because I've done it, but it's just supporting them and praising them how great they are. It's amazing to see. It's really rewarding. It's rewarding.
Beautiful. I think we can start to wrap it up there. Let's kind of end with, like, how can people get in touch with you? Please send me the links anyway, and we'll put them in the Facebook feed anyway. But if you want to kind of say how can people get in touch with you now, please do that.
Yep. So if you're local, the shop on Woolworth Road, you can pop in.
I'll be there
anytime. Well, most times she'll be there. And just anyone that's there, just ask you're interested in volunteering, and they will get you signed up. Or if you need advice, or you want to know
anything, come for a chat, and
even for a chat.
Absolutely,
and then if you do want to volunteer at the warehouse, you can apply on our website, same as for the retail store. If you don't want to go in, just apply online. It goes through the volunteer pool, and it comes direct to people like us.
Or just, as I said, pop into the shop, we chat. We have a lot of people who don't shop in the shop. They just pop in, kind of a chat, and off they go, come back again. So it's great.
Well, I have got a meeting with Diana from Elephant and Castle in the next couple of weeks, so I'll give you a heads up, and I'll try to pop into the shop, because I'd love to talk to you guys a little bit more.
It'd be great to see you, Nick.
Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you,
Paula, Ross, and Mickey. I really, really super appreciate it.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, and thanks everybody for joining us. Don't forget, if anything has brought anything up, through this last 45 minutes, please get in touch. and we can talk through it. I know I got emotional, and it's just it's that kind of topic. So if anything was brought up and you feel a little bit like you want to talk to someone, please reach out, just DM or put something in the Facebook. Someone will get in touch with you. Crisis are amazing, and we'll put the links in the Facebook feed if anyone needs to get in touch with them, either as a volunteer or they know somebody who needs some help. So thanks everyone for joining us. Don't forget to join me next Tuesday as well. I'll have some more amazing guests or guests on a Facebook live to bring to you guys, and we'll see you all later. Thanks very much.
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks, Nick.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye. Bye.